Welcome to Coffee with Ken.
Good evening, everybody. What is going on? It's your man's Ken Jackson. And this is Coffee with Ken. Thank you all for showing up. But I promise I'm not going to show out. Tonight, let's see here. Hold on. So tonight, we're going to talk about what we heard from Donald Trump today. Because once again, the words don't match the weight of the moment. We've got rising tensions around Iran, talk of war, strategy, global consequences. And what do we get? Vague statements, recycled talking points, and a whole lot of chest thumping because Donald Trump thinks he's a tough guy, but he has no plan, y'all. And we're sick of it, really. I'm sick of it. I hope you are too. He's talking tough about the Iranian situation, throwing around strength, dominance, control. But where's the detail? Where's the accountability? Where's the explanation to the American people about what this actually means for our sons and daughters who have been sent into harm's way? Because let me tell you something. War is not a slogan. It's not a headline, y'all. War is something that you don't play by ear or just wing it as you go along. So, you don't just say we're strong and expect that to be enough. Because the Iranians ain't really giving a fuck about none of that. These people have been broken and poor all of their lives. All of my life. Come to think of it. Strength without strategy is reckless. And that's what this feels like. Total recklessness. And here's the part that should make everybody pause. We're listening to a man talk about potential ongoing military conflict with the Iranians, a man who built his legacy avoiding service himself. That's right. Captain Bone Spurs, legendary draft dodging coward, a man whose family never had skin in the game when it comes to defending this country on the battlefield. So when he speaks about Iran, when he hints at escalation, when he throws out these broad, undefined ideas, you got to ask yourself, who's paying the price for that kind of leadership? Who's paying the price? It's not him. Now, let's pivot to the economy because he's out here painting a picture like everything is either perfect under him or completely broken without him. Same playbook, same exaggeration, same rewriting of reality. Talks about the economy like it's a scoreboard with only 2 columns, winning when he's involved and losing when he's not. But the American people, they're living something much more complicated. We all are. I know I am. People are still dealing with high costs, rent, groceries, gas. People, it's real. It's real out there. And it's not a talking point. It's not a campaign slogan. It's everyday life. We're all out here struggling. Even I struggle. And I'm financially fit. But these higher prices, At the gas pump, just yesterday, for example, gas was $4.19 a gallon here in South Florida. Today it's $4.37. Overnight, $4.37. But instead of addressing the reality with specifics, with plans, with solutions, we get generalities. We get it was better before. We get it will be great again. That's not leadership, y'all. That's marketing. And people are starting to see the difference. Now, let's talk about the tone, because that matters just as much as the policy. There's always this undercurrent, this constant need to dominate the narrative, to control the conversation, to position himself as the only voice that matters. Everything is highly exaggerated. Everything is either the best ever or the worst ever. There's no middle ground with Trump. There's no nuance. And that's dangerous, because real leadership lives in nuance. Real leadership is being able to say, here's the situation, here's the risk, here's the plan, and here's what it means for you. Not just trust me. We've heard trust me before, and whenever somebody says trust me, don't trust them. And let's be honest, y'all, if you're still asking for blind trust in 2026, after everything we've seen, after everything we've heard, after everything we've been through, then you're not leading, you're selling. So when you look at today's headlines, Iran, the economy, the rhetoric, you've got to separate the performance from the substance, because there's always a performance when Donald Trump is involved. The question is, what's underneath it? What's the actual plan? What's the real strategy? What's the cost? And more importantly, who's going to bear that cost? You and me and the rest of the American people. We're the one that's going to pay the price for Donald Trump's failed leadership, for Donald Trump's corruption and thievery. Because history has shown us it's never the people at the top making the loudest speeches. It's the everyday Americans, the soldiers, the workers, the families. So don't just listen to what's being said, pay attention to what's not being said. That's where the truth usually lives. Pay attention, y'all, because Donald Trump don't give a fuck about none of us. He don't give a fuck about you, the bills you got to pay, the groceries you got to buy, the gas you need to put in your vehicle so you can get to work every day. He don't care about that. He's never experienced the life that we live. Never. Not a single day in his life. He didn't build his lifestyle from the bottom up. He inherited it. He inherited his money and he blew it all. And then he turned to thievery. He turned to grifting. And now he's running the ultimate grift, the ultimate con, using the White House as his source of power. And that's illegal, y'all. It's illegal. It ain't right. This is not what a president is supposed to be. I was reading through some comments that came across my threads from yesterday, and somebody made a comparison between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris as to what their qualifications were. The only qualification that they mentioned for Donald Trump was that he's a billionaire. He has a lot of money. Being a billionaire and having a lot of fucking money does not make you qualified to be president of these United States. Kamala Harris was, in fact, the most qualified candidate probably in the history of the presidency. An attorney general, a prosecutor, who, by the way, did not lock up every black man and every black woman that came through the court system. In fact, she started programs to help black suspects of crime get a fair shake in the system. She started programs to help get their sentences reduced to the equivalency of what white suspects would get. Kamala Harris did a lot to help the black community in California where she served. And no, she didn't sleep her way to the top either. It's literally impossible to sleep your way into an elected position. And every job Kamala Harris has ever held was an elected position, meaning the people voted for her. And they voted for her based on her qualifications for the job. She wasn't a DEI hire. She was an elected official. And no, she wasn't perfect. She made a lot of mistakes just like the rest of us. But she served with honor and integrity. She was selected as vice president and served well as vice president, contrary to popular belief, contrary to what the MAGA sphere would have you believe or would want you to believe. And a lot of you out there didn't vote for Donald Trump. You voted against Kamala Harris because she was the black woman. And a lot of you idiots out there would rather vote for a convicted felon, would rather vote for a sexual predator, would rather vote for a draft-dodging coward than vote for the highly qualified black woman who was running for the job, who should have gotten the job. And there's a lot of blame to go around as to why she didn't win. I can't be mad at Donald Trump because he won. He won the game. Of course, the fix might have been in, as he always claims. He might have actually stolen the election. Because usually the ones that are always blowing the whistle the loudest are usually the ones committing the crime that they're blowing the whistle about. And you all know that. But you couldn't stand to have a black woman sitting in the White House, sitting on the highest seat of power in the world, which is now the highest seat of embarrassment in the world, because Donald Trump is such a shameful idiot. He calls himself, what does he call himself? The something genius. I can't remember the exact term. In my opinion, he's a pitiful idiot, far from genius. No, he wasn't first in his class at the Wharton School of Business. He was far from it. In fact, he was in the bottom half. The proof is out there. But we got what we got. So there's no sense in crying over spilt milk. All we can do now is ensure that everybody you know gets out there and votes for these midterms. And I've been hearing a lot of people talking, about voting because they stayed at home last time. And basically they fucked around and found out. And those people are telling me, yo, Ken, man, I'm going to vote this next time around. And I implore you all, get out there and vote. Even though the fix is in, because the Supreme Court just ruled that these Republicans can basically gerrymander the hell out of their states. They can redraw district maps and basically ignore racial divides, within the communities. Basically, what the Supreme Court did was nullify the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the year that I was born. Never in my wildest dreams could I have imagined that the very bill, the very law, the amendment to the Constitution that allowed people that look like you and me to vote freely would be stripped away. And that's exactly what the Supreme Court did. They stripped away voting rights for all minorities in this country. It's crazy. It's really crazy. But we got to fight fire with fire. We have to get involved. Everybody needs to get involved and participate in this broken system that we have. And we have to do everything we can to get the right people back in office so that they can write stronger laws and stronger amendments so that this thing that we have now can never happen again. I'm not holding my breath, though. Like I said, the fix is definitely in now. It just happened right before our very eyes in plain sight. So it's going to take a miracle. It's going to take a miracle to course correct. But I hope you all get out there and vote, regardless of how you might think it may turn out. We have to make such an overwhelming movement, an overwhelming appearance at the polls this next time around that it can't be denied what America really wants. We got to make it happen. We the people, y'all. We the people. All right, so with all that said, hey, knock it off. Listen, y'all, don't get a puppy, especially a stupid puppy. Stop it. But in any case, y'all, I actually don't know what I'd do without her now. She's my sidekick when I'm not with my grandkids. All right, but let me get back to the topic at hand. Get out and vote. November is coming up fast. It'll be here in no time, y'all. We need to turn this government around. We need to lock up all of these criminals that are in Washington. We need to truly, truly drain the swamp. We need to drain the swamp and replace it with a beautiful fountain of youth and rejuvenation for this country. That sounds real corny, right? I know. But guess what? I'm a corny dude. But one thing I'm not a punk, and I'm not just going to sit here and stand by and watch our country be destroyed. Call me what you want. But you can never call me a traitor. And you can never call me a Trumper. But if you're a Trumper, you're definitely a traitor. I'm your man's Ken Jackson. This has been Coffee with Ken. Listen, y'all, if you really believe America deserves better, then join me. If you haven't already, follow me here on YouTube, subscribe, like, subscribe, share, all that. Tune in every day because every day I throw something out there. Sometimes it's meaningful, sometimes it's bullshit. Listen, um, because we can't, really be serious all the time. Sometimes we just gotta take a fucking joke, you know what I mean? But in any case, like, subscribe, share. Uh, Check me out over on TikTok, Crazy Baby TV World, and follow me there. Let's keep this discussion going. Get out there in the streets, speak your mind. Don't let anybody stop you, y'all. Don't let anybody stop us, we the people. I am out. Peace.
Thanks for watching, and please like, subscribe, and share this video.